So the first principle would be of teaching mindfulness is, are you living it? And I would say that that's the real practice, because otherwise there's a certain kind of artificial way, and I'm not knocking it because that's how we all begin. It's like, okay, now I'm going to become a meditator, and now I better be a good meditator, and so I'm going to strive to be whatever it is that I think of as the best way to do this, and that's all fantastic. But there's another element to this, and that is that if you're already whole and there's no improving on you, then actually, there's no separation between you and the Buddha, but you don't know everything that the Buddha knew. So that's where the humility comes in. And so how do you take what you could call the instrumental, what is required, to say, like sit in a posture that embodies dignity? That's a nice, helpful way to get people to settle. But you could do it lying down or standing on your head or standing on one leg for that matter. And at the same time, there's no place to go, nothing to do, nothing to attain, to quote the Heart Sutra. Okay? No place to go, nothing to do, nothing to attain. And the trouble with Americans, how many of you are from different countries, not America, not the U.S.? Well, lucky you. That's a joke. But in America, we're always trying to get someplace else. We're always trying to get to some better place. And I tell you, we've been here before. There's this kind of cyclical way in which everything rises and passes away. And it's not like greed, hatred, and delusion just emerged in our last election, for instance. No, it's been going on forever, prehistory. I mean, and you all know this. I mean, and what's not said, what the narrative isn't, and then it changes to the narrative that is, Whether it's the Me Too movement or there's the Black Lives Matter movement, it's like, the women have always known, stuff that now is all in the front of the newspaper, but before it was like, truly oppressive in a certain kind of way, but in a way that didn't lead to clarity or waking up until now, and the same with the school shootings and everything else. But this, you can't talk about the school shootings apart from like the hangings in the South, for centuries, and the slavery and the genocide. What's that have to do with mindfulness? Only everything, because it has to do with awareness of the whole. Otherwise, you're in some little cubbyhole or kind of bubble is the popular term now, where you're in your own reality and now you're trying to get everybody else to be in your reality, which means you don't trust the larger whole. So you're already off in a certain way. So trying to teach mindfulness is very different from actually embodying it in your own life and then letting your life actually do the teaching. And then the actual guidance will come out of your own direct experience, and it won't be imitative. Okay? And it won't be prescriptive, and it won't be trying to teach people to get into some special mindful state. Okay? There's no mindful state. If you want to, it's not about attaining a particular something. It's about not getting caught in how much we are thinking all the time and then creating a reality based on thought, so that so your students, they're already aware. If you're teaching in schools, how many of you teach in the schools, K through 12, something like that? Okay, and more and more teachers are bringing mindfulness into the school system. And I don't think until recently, most of the school systems have been, that it's coming from the superintendents or the parents. It's coming from the teachers because they can't teach in the classroom. I mean, because the kids are so stressed and they're coming to school with all sorts of issues and problems that used to be taken care of by family, and now it's not so much being taken care of entirely by the family. So the shorthand would be, how do you teach kids to tune their instrument of learning when they're coming into the classroom in the morning totally stressed out, and maybe having experienced violence or hunger already that morning, not even had breakfast. And then there's the whole thing with the school shootings. It's like, I mean, how many school shootings does it take to have you think that it could happen in our school this morning? And so a kind of very sort of big cloud hanging over a place that was supposed to be safe and sacrosanct, where the children could actually learn. So that's a lot that the teachers are carrying. So can you actually embody the sense that you're not trying to get the kids to be a special way, but to recognize that the way they already are is insanely special? It's also true for the breath. Let's just, for a moment, because, by the way, we haven't really dropped into silence, but I hope it's clear to you that this is itself part of the meditation practice. This conversation that we're having where you're actually listening and I'm actually speaking, it's as much practice as anything else. We're collectively dropping in to wakefulness, and then I'm pointing towards things that you already know, and what I'm trying to do is affirm them and reinforce the significance of you taking responsibility. If you hope to aspire to be a mindfulness teacher and really transmit the deep essence of this, that you have to live it 24/7 without the have to. Okay? That it's a love affair. It took me a long time. I've been having a formal meditation practice now for over 50 years. And it took me 30 or 40 to actually realize that when I take my seat in the morning, it's a radical act of love. Just to stop, just to wake up, a little bit more than when we jump out of bed, which we're already zoning along on autopilot because we're late. Do you realize? We never have enough time. We're always behind. So taking your seat is a radical act of both sanity and love. And I use it metaphorically and literally. Taking your seat, yes. Sitting practice or in any embodied posture, very important. Silence, extremely important element of it. And when you see that in the K through 12 class of a whole bunch of kids sitting in silence and being the knowing of wakefulness, it's incredibly moving. And especially even, a lot of those kids may be on the spectrum in one way or another, or have ADD or ADHD. And I've witnessed classrooms in some of the most stressed public school systems in the country. It's like staggering to watch, to feel the kids be still and know what they're doing. And when you plant those seeds in childhood, you get a different kind of adult. Because they're exercising a certain kind of muscle, what Richard Heckler was talking about, sort of embodied practice. You have to practice. But you have to know what practice is, because otherwise you're rehearsing for some performance, and that's not what practice means in the meditative traditions. It means being fully present now. Because there's no performance, this is it. And it's not a performance. It's life unfolding.